So anytime we turn on the TV or the news, we see a world that's in crisis. From the economy to the planet, we're being promised as the younger generation that we're going to inherit this. If we look at the basic tenement that our economic system is based on infinite growth, but our planet is finite, the further and further we go into this crisis, the less and less of our planet there will be left to sustain us. The further we go down the climate crisis, the further young generations and those that will come after our current youth, the harder it's going to be for them to live upon this earth. So when we're talking about climate justice, we also have to recognize something called generational justice. The idea that as young people, we have the right to a healthy planet, we have the right to the opportunities that that planet presents to us, and the current industrial production and the current systems that are perpetuating climate change are putting that right in danger. While the impacts around the world are different, youth in countries in the global south are feeling this right now. Youth in the global north are looking maybe 20, 30 years down the road to be feeling similar impacts. But one of the things we realize is that we are a single generation. So those people that are currently being impacted are the canaries in the coal mine, and their lives and their rights don't mean less than ours, which is why, in many ways, young people across the world are banding together as a generation in this fight. And for years, we've been working from that, and what that's meant is that in international negotiations and in our countries, we're seeing youth given token gestures. We're being given observer status at the United Nations. We're being invited to these meetings. But at the same time, while we're doing this, we risk becoming a part of a system that isn't giving us the solutions we want. To steal a metaphor from a great organizer in our movement, Tim DeChristopher, the environmental movement historically is a lot like a football game. There's a few people on the field, and they're fighting it out, they're trying really hard, but the reality of it is that the other team is bigger, the refs have been paid off, and the rules have been changed so we just can't win. But what we need to recognize is at the same time, there are thousands and thousands of people in the stands cheering us on. And what we need to realize is that as long as we continue to play by the rules of this system, we can't beat them. So what we need is for those people that are watching, that are cheering, that are hoping that we get through this, to rush the field. And that's really what the young generation is starting to do. If we look across Canada, youth are getting involved in local struggles against extraction, from the Northern Gateway Project in BC, to fighting shale gas in Quebec, to numerous environmental and climate justice groups that are popping up across this country that are being led by youth, organized by youth, and fighting for our generation, the generation to come after us, but also recognizing all the links of solidarity that we need to make to really win this struggle. So when we're really talking about climate justice, we're talking about changing these systems, and we can't just look at things like participating in the United Nations. We can't just look to the ballot box. We have to look at grassroots struggles. We have to look at how we stop these projects and how we, as youth, connect with communities around the world and other young people to stop projects there. So that really sort of is where the movement is right now and where we're trying to build it from. And when we're talking about generational justice, we also have to remember that we have allies in this. The older generations that recognize that mistakes were made, that recognize that there is a historical culpability, and that recognize that they are handing us a planet that is already in crisis. But also, we need to hold them accountable. We need to hold politicians, we need to hold corporations, and we need to hold all of these forces that created the problem accountable. Because we know for a fact we didn't create the problem, but we also know that we have to be the solution. And becoming that solution is really what this generational justice and creating generational justice is really going to be. Because when it comes down to it, we are inheriting a broken planet, but we refuse to pass that along to those that will come after us.